wave-powered buoys can desalinate ocean water incredibly efficiently. Hi, I'm Kingdangerously, this is Ftrhstry. We're remembering the next 100 years in our time vortex from the 2120s. This jumps off a recent event in the early 2020s, circa 2022, when the United States Department of Energy awarded $500,000 after 3 years of awarding about $3.3 million to various water concerns around the world, to a company called Onika. We'll put them in the comments. They're one of a few sort of leading edge engineered developers who are working on desalination buoys. And the way these work are they basically bob up and down in the waves. They gather energy from the wave power and they use that energy to thrust the ocean water through reverse osmosis filters and then pump it to a canister on the shore. This turns out to be really effective, actually. They can do enough water for about 450 people a day with just one of these things, which is pretty impressive, obviously. And they make a really good solution for private islands or emergency relief, because you can bring in the buoys relatively efficiently when there's a disaster in a particular area, so you can get water to people while houses get rebuilt and things like that. And a couple of the projects in this space are the Water Bros, which is not an adult film concern. It is a wave buoy desalination outfit. Water Bros. And who else can I point you to? Mark Zero and Project 816. We'll put those in the comments as well. Why is this exciting? Because 2 billion people in the 2020s lack fresh drinking water. 2 billion people. That's 1 out of every 4 people. That's crazy. That's way too many people. It's even worse if you ask just how many people lack adequate sanitation, and that's closer to 3.6 billion people, even in the 2020s. And you've come a long way, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking that particular aspect of the 20s compared to, say, the 1920s, when even more people lived in water-desperate situations. But this is a problem that is unfortunately set to get naturally worse in the 2030s and 2040s, because, you might have noticed the world is heating up, and there are some places, especially the ones inland like Congo and the Central African Republic and Chad, that are so landlocked that it's really difficult to solve the water problem for them. So fixing the issue for those 3 places is going to be tough. Also Ethiopia and Nigeria, although they're pretty close to the coast, Nigeria is full-on coastal, Ethiopia has a little bit of coast, are still water scarce places as well. And even Madagascar, which you may have noticed from maps is surrounded by water, has not great access to water. So one of the promises of wave-based desalination buoys is that you can go to some of these places that have lots of access to ocean water, but none of the infrastructure needed to desalinate it. And these in-ocean plants offer a much cheaper alternative to the massive desalination plants that pump large amounts of water out of the ocean. And we're big fans of those plants here at Ftrhstry. You probably have seen that. Maybe you've looked them up. They're exciting. There are a few thousand of them around the world. This is like early days in the 2020s. When I'm from in the 2120s, this is incredibly common. We use the ocean basically like you dip into your water with lemon. It's everywhere. We even irrigate large parts of the world, just automated in these just hoses maintained by robots kind of systems, where we don't even really think about it very much. It's like we've sort of set it and now we have forgetted it in the 2120s. But in the 2020s, you've yet to build lots of that infrastructure. So it's exciting that buoys offer a potentially cheaper alternative to some of the heavier development, and also they're more nimble, they're faster, you can deploy them quickly to places in need around the world now. So if you're an investor or a philanthropist, you might want to look to Onika as a potential source of good giving to the world, so you can help ease world thirst. You might also own a private island because you're fancy like that, so you may just want to look into them for your private resources. your Earl Grey can come from the ocean. The one thing we should mention about desalination in every desalination video is it does produce brine, right? Because you're smooshing ocean water through a filter and then you're sending some of that salt back into the ocean. You shouldn't do that. Stop it. It's nasty. You can use that salt for lots of other things, like it's good electrolytes, right? It's good for food. It's good for energy supplements. It's good for, in some cases, batteries, because there's a reasonable amount of lithium. It's like 1 part per million, but there's lithium in sea salt. So you can use it for industrial applications as well, especially if you have it at scale. So one little knock I would give from the 2120s to the 2020s is these buoys are gushing the brine back into the ocean, and Oneka says they only redeposit water that's about 30% more salinated than the water in the ocean already, and it's sort of diffused over a large area, so they're not very worried about it. But I would still prefer a solution that took that brine on land and processed it some other way rather than dumping it back in the ocean. Still in all, it's quite exciting that wave power can enable us to bring fresh, cheap water to people who need it around the world, to the tune of about 2 billion of them. So go look up these things. I hope you get involved. Maybe just buy a wave-powered water producer, or maybe help bring one to someone in need. All right, stay juicy. Future out.